Okay, today we're going to talk about Crypto.com news. We're covering the AMA that occurred with the CEO. Actually, I'm covering two main points in the AMA, probably the two most important points, the 2 points that I think most people are going to care about. And I just want to say this, and I want to get this out of the way because the overwhelming majority of the community of Crypto.com, I think, sees this as positive. The people who don't were a lot of the earlier investors in MCO. In fact, if you go into the Telegram, people hanging out in the Telegram are probably negative too, just because birds of a feather flock together. We all get influenced by our environment, but the Telegram is a cesspool of negativity right now. And I do understand it. I get it. So you have to understand, a lot of people were investing in Crypto.com back when it was Monaco. I was aware of the project. I read through the project. But back then I thought it was entirely too early. Their goals seemed way too lofty. In fact, they've never completed the goals of the original Monaco card. The original Monaco card was you could spend your crypto directly on a Visa card, but you didn't have to convert it to fiat inside the app like you do now. You could just spend it right off your Bitcoin wallet. That was like kind of the original sort of goal. And I think that still is their goal to ultimately get to that place, but that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of regulatory efforts, and a lot of the environment in the world has to change because that would never pass the regulatory regulations in the financial sector wouldn't allow that to happen yet. However, I think that still is kind of the long-term goal. So a lot of these people were buying MCO back then when it was nothing. And they, basically watch it rise from the ashes, so to speak, and become the incredible suite of apps that it is today. And they've been buying all along, dollar cost averaging in. They're excited. It's crypto. Crypto's risky, but it was looking good for them. And admittedly, it was looking good for a lot of people. And the new CEO comes on board, or I don't know if he was new. I'm not sure when Chris came on board. But when they bought Crypto.com, they came out with the CRO token. They were basically saying, hey, nothing's going to happen with the MCO token. In hindsight, I think that was their mistake as a company, but nothing's going to happen with the MCO token. It still has a bright future, so on and so forth. But every new project they were coming out with was related to the CRO token. And it's a different blockchain. I think it has different capabilities as a blockchain. It was a separate blockchain. And it was, and I think the goal was always to have their own blockchain anyway. Neither here nor there, or maybe it was just because of the Crypto.com branding. I'm not sure what was a true reason to end up with two different coins, but they ended up with two different coins. So the end of the day, the only use case for MCO really and truly was to stake it for the cards and a couple little perks here and there. That was really the major use case for the MCO token. They had limited supply. It was a little more decentralized. People like that. I understand that. And then something happened. People were seeing a few days ago that the MCO prices were getting dropped on the market, that Crypto.com was basically selling out some of the MCO. This is where people accuse them of price manipulation. The funny thing is, people only accuse it when they got it wrong. Meaning people were buying it up. People were buying it up. They were like, this is a limited supply token. We're seeing these low prices again. Now's the time to get in. And then lo and behold, they're basically phasing out the MCO token. That was the actual gameplay. And people missed it. And when they missed it, they got upset. And they rightfully feel like they were loyal. They were buying into this project. They believed in the project. They were the early investors, and they feel like they got dumped on. And you can clearly see that perspective. I did this myself years ago, back in the 2000 dot-com crash. There's a large retailer. Every stock in the world basically went down. There was a large retailer that went into bankruptcy. They issued bonds. This is a national retailer in the U.S. If I said them today, they're still around. They have an absolute household name. I bought their stock. They were issuing bonds because they were in trouble, but I bought their stock at like 53 cents a share. The company's still around today, but the shares I had were worthless. Why? Because the company literally restructured and changed their name. Like they went from, ABC Department Store to ABC Department Store Inc. That was it. They had a new stock issuing, and the only people who basically got upper levels of management, C-level employees, upper store managers and stuff like that got basically a swap. The rest of us got left holding the bag. And that sucks. Like, it doesn't feel right. It probably wasn't right in that case. I don't know what the solution was for that company. They needed to survive. They could not get out of the position they were in. They had to abandon their debt. They filed bankruptcy, and that's part of what happened with that particular company. To this day, by the way, I don't shop at that store. Thankfully, they're in financial trouble again. I shouldn't say thankfully. Karma. They're in financial trouble again. And who knows? Maybe that happens with MCO. I don't know. But I feel like, not having been on the side of the investors where I was heavily staked in the MCO, I was not a dollar cost averaging buying up the MCO token back when it was Monaco. So I don't have that same investor's bias. There's a video I did talking about, and everyone needs to learn this lesson. Even when you're aware of the lesson, it still affects you. But there's a video I did called Cryptocurrency Investing for Beginners. I'll put that above and down in the description. But in that video, I talked about investors biased. And this is where your emotions don't allow you to make logical decisions. And that's what I think is happening right now with a lot of people. So let's talk about this AMA. Let's talk about what people are upset about. Let's talk about the positive. First, major positive. This is actually the thing that I think is a big deal with the company. Basically, most people who were leaving comments seem to be upset about the cards. And my thought on the cards, because yesterday the tiers, if you see my video from yesterday, they were so high. Well, they dropped the price drastically, literally 80% of the requirement, which means to get a Ruby card now, it's cheaper. Like, it's a lot cheaper. Right now, it's roughly $150 US, $150 worth of CRO tokens to get the Ruby card. If you want to get the Ruby card, link down in the description. You can get the Ruby card. They'll give you $50 worth of CRO tokens. If you believe in the project long term, I think those tokens are ultimately going to go up. Will they go down from here? I don't know. But long term, I think they go up. There are a lot of people that love to see the token crash right now. I'm not one of them, obviously. So with that being said, I think this is a good move to at least stay in line. Yesterday when people were complaining about it in the comments, I was like, yeah, but they're losing money providing these benefits. This is just an on-ramp to get people in. At some point, these benefits go down drastically, or it becomes a lot harder to get those benefits. Mark my words. Either the benefits go down, or it's going to be a lot more expensive to get the benefits. I promise you, sooner or later, that's probably going to happen. So, I mean, you can take that to the bank, because they have blatantly said before they were losing money on these benefits. With that being said, right now, today, it's much cheaper to get these cards. Much, much, much cheaper. And I think that's super exciting. Super exciting. You have to stake 1,000 CRO tokens to get the Ruby card, but if you do that, which is about $150, you're going to get $50 worth of CRO tokens. So that's a pretty good deal right now compared to what we had before the CRO switch. So yesterday when people were upset, I mean, all this stuff can change at any time, and I think it will change. And those of you that are part of my Crypto Passive Profits newsletter, I have not I got videos. There's a bonus in there. And in that newsletter, when you subscribe, I've got videos that I'm going to update. I'm not going to update them yet. I'm just going to give it some time and just make certain all this stuff is set in stone. But if you watch those videos, just know everything's in flux. If you subscribe to the Crypto Passive Profits newsletter down in the description, all that stuff is, if you want to make a passive income with cryptocurrency, then you can subscribe. But just know there are things that are going to change. So this is a big thing. The card, they dropped the price by like 80%, or the requirements on the card by like 80%. Makes you wonder, why were they so high in the first place? I don't know. I think the real issue is, I think there was some internal conflict. This is what I think their big mistake was. There was some internal conflict with MCO and CRO, because the right way to have done this from day one was when you come out with Crypto.com, just do a swap, a one-to-one swap or whatever from MCO to Crypto.com, CRO. That from the beginning, never have two chains. That would have been the best thing, but that's hindsight 2020. Listen, I've been in businesses where you had to make hard decisions and you knew that it was right for the business, but nobody's going to like it. Like, I've been in that situation before, and that's really and truly where I think they found themselves, the CEO and the company. I think that's where they found themselves. But the question is, was it ultimately, did this need to happen at some point? And I'm going to show you something that one of the commenters in the Telegram group said. I think he nailed it, basically. I want to talk about this because this is the other part. This is from Denome's video. You can go watch his video. I obviously disagree with him. He's got massive, massive investors bias here. And maybe so do I. I just have it the other way. But he clearly is hanging out in groups where like everybody's negative, and he thinks they've the company's just lost everybody's trust and whatever. Here's the thing. Let me just say this: the early loyal investors in MCO are hurt, and they feel hurt, and probably rightfully so. However, a company's priority is not a small group of loyal investors. It's a large group of massive customer base that just use them because they provide a good product or service, and they're not necessarily super loyal to the brand. Of course, they want loyalty as well, but the priority is a lot of customers. And ultimately, I think this move was the right move for the company long term, which is good for the project. I want to point out something that he said here in his video, because I've seen this come up several times.
And they said that the price was good, so they gave us basically a 35% discount or the upgrade price because of the average year plus the 20% bonus, which brings the price up approximately here. So he said that they cannot do anything better than that. And I have a little bit of doubt for that because a lot of people in the community were asking for 1:100 ratio change instead of this 1:33 ratio. And they say that they cannot.
So we basically got a 1:33 ratio. For every MCO, you basically got 33 CRO essentially. And people were upset. They want a 1:100. And people were literally holding out to it, like somehow they were going to hold the company hostage. I mean, it's comical to think about because that's not going to work. You can't do that. And it creates a whole nother issue for the company, even if they did capitulate later and they're like, okay, you get 1:100. Now they've got all these people that got 1:33. That is an issue, no matter what terms and conditions people signed. So it's almost comical that people think they're going to somehow hold the company over a barrel and make them get 1:100. There are people in the Telegram group that are still kind of saying that. That is laughable, and it shows that they're being a little bit naive, to be honest with you. But so people are saying, hey, they should have gave us 1:100. The CEO is saying that would have been a lot more expensive. Like we already gave you a huge discount. This is where basically the price was at the time. We got you in down here at this price or this cost basis when you consider the exchange plus the 22% increase, because they didn't exchange off the current price. They went back over the past 30 days. And then they gave you a 20% bonus on top of that. So they're saying we got you in way down here at this point. And I tend to think that that's somewhat fair. People are arguing that, yeah, but you're responsible for this price run up. And now you're converting us. The MCO token went down. You're responsible for the price run up. Now you're converting us. I understand that logic. I get it. But at the end of the day, based off the current price, the company can't control the current price. So they gave us a substantial discount or a substantial bonus on the current price. My account went up about $150 for this MCO that I was able to switch. I switched it first thing in the morning when I saw it. I switched it, and in US dollar value went up about $150 at that moment.
Do it because it will cost 200 million USD in CRO to do that. But if we just compare it to this one, so this is the current swap rate, which is 33, and if we just compare the whole market cap of MCO, that's about 0.5% of the market cap of CRO. So this means that they only had to spend 0.5% of their total CRO pool to basically destroy MCO. And if we had gotten the 1:1.
That comment was investors' bias. They did not destroy. They didn't destroy. Well, he's saying destroy MCO. Okay, maybe you could say they destroyed MCO, but that logic. I mean, that's just he's so emotional about this, and I can see why. I just don't agree with the sentiment.
100 ratio, then they would only have had to use 1.58% of the circulating supply. So just keep that in mind that this difference right here is not too much.
It's not too much. See, here's his logic. $200 million is not too much, is what he's saying. It would have only took them about 1%, just over 1% more of their current supply. That's not too much. It's $200 million. It's a hell of a bill from the company. It's $200 million. They're already giving you a rate better than the current market supply at the time. And you can argue the rate was manipulated up to that point. That's fine. Who doesn't want to see the token ultimately go up in price anyway? But you can argue that. However, the logic that it would have just taken them another 1%, it's another 1% off of a token that ultimately does have a limited supply. There's not unlimited number of CRO. And they currently are using those CRO to help fund operations. One of the things that the CEO said in the AMA was that the company was profitable, and they were, really excited about that. And he mentioned that several times. They were profitable. They're profitable. Their number one, the best I can tell, their number one profit center is providing CRO tokens to exchanges. You can see that on the blockchain, that they're providing large blocks of CRO tokens to exchanges, which I'm assuming the exchanges are buying those large blocks somehow under the table, or however they do it. They're buying them from them at a certain price, and then they're using them to provide liquidity on like Binance and whatnot. So there's people who say, they're going to just dump the token again. There's no logical reason today for them to dump the token intentionally. None. They need the token price to stay up to continue to fund operations. And the idea that they're going to just choose to spend $200 million, I can totally understand why they wouldn't want to spend that $200 million. I want to say this. I saw one post. It was a really good post in, where's it at? In Telegram. Is this guy right here? I think he pretty much summed it right up. And a lot of people are emotional, and I explained why they're emotional, and I get it. But having one token is the right call. I'm personally glad to see that they lowered the price of the cards. But listen to what this guy has to say. And then I'll wrap up with one more thing. The price of MCO CRO was on 3/8/2020 about 23 to 1, meaning that on that day, on the 8th of March, he's saying we were sitting at about, instead of 33 to 1, we were sitting at 23 to 1 ratio. And he's got this backwards, but it's 23 CRO to 1 MCO. So to obtain the same amount of MCO, there has to be a much larger volume of CRO at these rates, meaning that they had to, he's saying that they had to have a larger volume of CRO. Besides, how much tokens you have out of a total market volume isn't what this is about. Correct. The important part is the value of said token. I beg to differ. MCO's only short-term benefit were the card cashback perks and a slight interest rate increase in earn, while CRO has much more long-term potential. Some points to consider about CRO. It's been used to pay exchange fees, and exchange interest rates. The exchange is in its infancy and still growing both into other areas and more functions. It is utilized as currency in the pay system, both peer-to-peer and peer-to-business. Its interest rates are higher despite a much larger market volume and much lower unit price, both on exchange and in the earn system. MCO were swapped at higher value than market value at that time. On March 8th, MCO was approximately 3.5 euros MCO, while CRO was at 0.15 euros CRO, which translates to a 23.3 to 1. Crypto.com swapped at higher than market value on the day of the swap, 27.5 to 1, already 20% higher than its value on that day. Plus, they gave an additional 20% bonus to be staked at the exchange, plus gave an additional 10% interest at the Visa card stake in CRO. I don't think this is terrible, but a fair deal at the time with current prices at the moment. I agree with that. At the moment in time, it was a fair deal. Of course, this was planned. The moment Monaco changed into Crypto.com, it was clear that eventually MCO would disappear or absorb into CRO somehow. The MCO initials, by the way, I noticed this right away, all the branding changes. The MCO initials are from Monaco. The old MCO Visa card had the MCO initials, while the new only bear the company logo. A clear sign. Crypto.com wanted the card to be more versatile and not just bonded to the MCO name trademark. CRO has been used for more projects, trading arena, syndicate, exchange, pay system. This doesn't make it an overvalued coin, but a better utilized coin. It is those things that give a coin or token more value beyond only market's demand and supply. Now, they've gone full circle and utilized CRO also for Visa card stake and card reward perks. Now the entire Crypto.com ecosystem is CRO based. Why is that wrong? I get it that somewhere along the line there, it was said that the MCO would boom, and that is true. The CEO himself said that it would not be swapped, etc. That is true. But why not think for yourself? See the signs and act accordingly. Long-time MCO hodlers could have swapped some of their MCO balance for CRO and already double, tripled, or quadrupled their initial investment and daily profit. Sure, some things could have been handled better. The inflated subscription for the Visa card for one thing, but I keep saying I concur that this is better in the long run. Eventually, something like this was going to happen. They could have waited longer until they had 5 to 10 million users, and then the problem would have been much worse. Would you have preferred that? I think he nails it. I will tell you, I think the issue is it sounds like they did not know in the beginning what to do with the MCO coin when they created the CRO coin. It seems like they did not have a clear idea. They should have done the swap immediately. That would have been what they should have done, in my personal opinion. That's not what happened, but I don't have ultimately don't have a problem with this. I do want to come back to something I said to Denom, because I commented here and I said, hey, your viewpoints are a bit naive. Long term, everything they're doing is for the company's perspective is the right move. If you're looking at the company from their perspective, it's the right move. I mean, their goal is not to make you money by just giving you handouts. There's a reason Warren Buffett says when he invests in a company, he would prefer for them not to pay for him a dividend. He would prefer for them to utilize that cash to increase the company's growth, the company's profits, if they're able to do that. That's coming from Warren Buffett. So here I said, from the company's perspective, everything they're doing is the right move. You have to get your emotions out of investing. Still left a like, though, because I do like Denom. I did like the channel. Didn't I? No, I didn't. I meant to. He says, thanks for your feedback. Unfortunately, I'm not an investor in the company, but their coins. What are you talking? This is the same thing. If you're an investor in the coins, you're investing in the coins because you believe where the coin can go, but the coin can only go somewhere because of the project and the use cases of the coins. So that doesn't even make sense, because if you're an investor in the coins, then all the fundamentals says that ultimately this is the right thing for the coins. Now, if you're only an investor in MCO, I get it. But if you're investing in the coins, then ultimately this is the right move, and ultimately it's going to be better for CRO. I am happy for the money I was able to make through them, but this collaboration seems to have come to an end. I have my ethical guidelines that I follow, and when I see loyal fans discriminated against for a quick buck, I will not be foolish to place my trust in these kind of people. Good luck with your choices, though. Okay. Good luck. I came back and said, I'm not an investor in their company, but their coins. In both cases, the underlying project has to do well. Time will tell whose sentiments are correct and if this was ultimately good for the project, which of course I think it is ultimately good for the project. I mean, the idea that projects are running around only looking to make their investors money, or that a company, only exists to make their investors money, that might be true on some at public company level. But I mean, that's a bit of a sort of a naive viewpoint of the world. Now, do I think this could have been handled better? Yes. But if I would have gotten to this place and it was like, okay, we've got to make this swap. How do we do this in the best way possible that doesn't cost the company too much? Because the company can't go out of business on this. Doesn't cost the company too much. A company that probably, my guess is, they're marginally profitable. I mean, anytime a company likes to say, in the AMA he mentioned several times being profitable. Anytime a company has to tout how profitable they are, I just don't tend to think they're super profitable. They're in a highly regulated space. He talked about some of that in the AMA, some of the stuff they're dealing with. There's a lot of regulations. Listen, and one of the reasons he said they got rid of MCO was because it got released as an ICO. I don't know if that's the full story. It might be just a convenient story. I mean, it is true. There is some movement basically to come after a lot of coins that were released as ICOs, even Ether. I mean, Ethereum. That is a real movement out there. End of the day, I think this is good long term. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you following along. This is Crypto.com. I'm still in the project. I'm back on the hunt for the black card. I'm going to ride it out. I'm excited for what they're doing. I've done well holding the CRO token. I basically was holding both tokens. I staked enough MCO at the time to get the Ruby card, and then I just started converting MCO to CRO and just holding it. And I was basically going to hold half and half. Obviously, now I'm just holding CRO, and the cards are a lot cheaper, so I'm looking to continue to expand And I'm going back for the black card. Ultimately, that's my goal. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, smash that thumbs up. Let me know down in the comment, what are your thoughts? If you love to earn passive income, I'm gonna put a playlist at the end that I've started. I need to get back to it. There's only 2 videos, but there will be more about passive income methods. Thank you so much for watching. I call it my cryptocurrency passive income in 2020. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, crypto equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.